Being raised in the Civil Rights era, a time of extreme prejudice and injustice, Maya Angelou faced the trials and tribulations of racism, sexual abuse, negative self-image, and divorce, along with many other issues growing up. For most people, living the life that Angelou did would be too much to handle, but this incredible woman let her past shape her into a better person as she poured her stories and memories, both good and bad, into her autobiographical books, poetry, and screenplays, which would inspire thousands in the years to come. Maya Angelou's story began on April 4, 1928, when she was born in St. Louis, Missouri under the name Marguerite Johnson. She was nicknamed Maya by her older brother, Bailey Jr. At the very young ages of 3 and 4, Maya and Bailey's divorced parents sent the children to live with their paternal grandmother, Mama Annie Henderson, in Stamps, Arkansas. This move became the start of the autobiography she would write in future years, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which begins with a picture of 2 children as tagged orphans headed to live with their grandmother. Maya lived happily in Stamps, learning from her grandmother about the importance of common sense, being practical, hard work, and courage, themes that would appear in almost all of her writings later in life. After about 4 years with their grandmother, Maya and Bailey moved back to St. Louis to live with their mother and her boyfriend, Mr. Freeman, for 8 months. While living in St. Louis, Maya was raped by Mr. Freeman, and later, after Mr. Freeman was killed in an alley by persons unknown, she suffered intense guilt from confessing that he was the one who did it. Because of her guilt, she vowed to never speak to anyone except her brother Bailey. She later admitted, "I thought he was killed because I spoke his name. That was the only logic I was able to employ. So I thought if I spoke, anybody might die." This traumatic experience plays a huge part in I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Because of the trials Maya Angelou faced as a child, she feels caged. She tries to escape reality through reading, rather than by talking. By standing back and watching the world go by, she realizes the hopelessness of her race and desires to resist that oppression. As is revealed through the reflection of Angelou's autobiography, the caged bird sings to find her voice. It's reaching for the tiniest shred of hope she has, using all she has left, her voice, so she can sing out her song of freedom. During her period of silence, Maya met Bertha Flowers, who, along with Maya's grandmother, encouraged and directed the young girl by teaching her religion, which was an important piece of their lives and would become a key theme in Maya's first book. These influential women also taught Angelou what she deems the most important virtue of all, which is the virtue of courage. In 1940, Maya and Bailey moved back to California with their mother. Her senior year, she was faced with what was one of the most personal struggles she ever endured. Maya got pregnant at age 17. Somehow, she hid her pregnancy long enough to graduate high school, then had her baby boy shortly after graduation. This event marks the end of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. After high school, Maya married Tosh Angelos and became a dancer and a singer. Her book titled Gather Together in My Name focuses on the late teen and early adult years of Maya's life. This book is influenced by her confessions of the experimentation she had with drugs and prostitution, and even confesses to an affair she had with a customer while working at a restaurant. It comes to the point at the end where she asks her readers for forgiveness. When she started her career in dancing and acting, Maya Johnson officially changed her name to Maya Angelou. She toured with different shows and productions to multiple parts of Europe and Africa and wrote about these adventures in her book, Swingin' and Singin'. All 3 of her books and many of her poems lead up to her final book, The Heart of a Woman, a major turning point in her life that some even label as a coming of age for Maya. At this time in her life, she became extremely involved in civil and women's rights. She also met and married Busumi Maki, then traveled with him to Egypt. They lived in Ghana as well, and Angelou was soon swept into an adoration for Ghana as a young girl falls in love. Maya further explains her years there in her book, All God's Children Need Traveling Shoes. Her entire life, Maya Angelou was positioned at the interstices of race and gender, being non-white and non-male, as described by Yolanda Minora, and felt that those circumstances were a cage keeping her from growing to the woman she hoped to become. She says that growing up, she was always very aware of the bias against her and considered herself living in an ugly black dream as a too big Negro girl with nappy black hair, broad feet, and a space between her teeth that would hold a number 2 pencil. As she grew older, however, and was under the care of 3 women, her mother, grandmother, and Mrs. Flowers, who served as her role models, she invented herself because she was tired of society inventing her, of distorting her personality, of turning a stereotype into reality, of bestowing upon her a label she rejected, as Lyman Hagen explains. Angelou realizes that she does not have to be chained by her gender or race any longer. Elizabeth Fox Genovese writes that she sees how her role models defied their imprisonment and how their cages constrained but did not stifle them, and discovers that she can live the same way, leaving behind her cage. Angelou discovers along the journey retold in Caged Bird exactly what McMurray writes in her essay. Angelou's Caged Bird sings also from frustration, but in doing so discovers that the song transforms the cage from a prison that denies selfhood to a vehicle for self-realization. Thanks to the role models in Angelou's life, she's able to use her past to push her to a better future, rather than hold her back from what she has the potential to become. When asked how she escaped her past, Maya Angelou responds with a blunt, "How the hell do you know I did escape?" And while I know why the Caged Bird sings may not end in Angelou's revelation of finding herself exactly, she does succeed in retelling her journey to becoming the powerhouse woman she is viewed as today. Menorah describes this journey as not towards self, but of self.
Now, in all your work, well, you've lived life to the full, and that comes through in all of your writing, in all your work. Is that what you're hoping to inspire others to do, do you think?
I hope so. It's my blessing that a number of people say that my work is inspiring. That's what I hope to be and to be doing all of my life, to encourage people to have enough courage, live it. Life loves the liver of it. And really, this is your life. It's not your mama's. It's not your papa's. It's not your race. It's not this is your life. As far as I can be absolutely certain, it's given to us to live but once. We should so live that we will not regret years of useless virtue and inertia and timidity and ignorance. When I leave the earth, at least somebody will know I was here.
It's been such an inspiration to talk.
Today, people all over the world are still moved and inspired by the works of Maya Angelou. Writer Grace Collins states, Maya Angelou continues to journey through and record her life truthfully and eloquently, an accomplishment that has led her to universal appeal and admiration. Angelou has successfully established herself not as being bound by the discriminations and stereotypes that once destroyed her confidence, but as a free woman that has let her past strengthen her and prepare her to handle any obstacle with power and dignity.